Hi everybody, and thank you for tuning in to Living Out Loud. My name is Jessica, and you are joining me on my recap of my journey with the Beachbody Ultimate Reset. Now, if you haven't heard yet, the Ultimate Reset is a 21-day cleanse and detox program. It is created by Beachbody, the makers of programs such as P90X, Turbo Fire, Insanity, and Shakeology, the healthiest meal of the day. The Ultimate Reset is a program that is literally designed to P90X the inside of your body. So it cleanses out your muscles, your cells, it gets rid of any toxins in your body, helps to increase oxygen to your muscles and your internal organs. It helps to rejuvenate your nerves, to go ahead and reduce any stresses on your nerves. It helps to alkalize your body. A lot of the foods that we eat, especially if you're a coffee drinker, are extremely acidic, which does a number on your body. It causes so many problems within your blood. And so, this goes ahead and kind of brings a level of homeostasis back to your body. So it really helps you get a fresh start. So you get to restart your lifestyle. If you are brand new to a fitness or nutrition program, this would be an excellent thing to do before you start anything, because it gives your body the chance to recover and prepare itself for proper nutrition, for new fitness, and for a total change in lifestyle. If you're not new to fitness and nutrition, it gives you the chance to go ahead and reduce any of those external toxins that you're taking in. Don't forget, guys, your skin is the largest organ in your body, and you may not be eating the wrong types of foods, but you have to remember that all of the chemicals in the air, pollutants in the air, are being absorbed by your body. That's why we sometimes have skin problems. You also have to remember that try as you might be trying to eat very well, but some of the things that you buy at the store, unless you're going totally organic, might have been treated with pesticides. Even milk, guys, the pasteurization process, the chemicals that they put through those things to make them sturdy for you to go ahead and continue having shelf life, they're just not natural and they're not good for your body. So unless you're going totally organic, unless you are using distilled waters, unless you are purchasing, from a farmer's market, something like that, there is always going to be some level of toxin that you're going to take into your body. And that's not going to change after the reset. That's just the nature of how things are out in the world. However, you can go ahead and reduce what you've been taking into your body all of these years so far and go ahead and restart over again. I believe in it that much for so many reasons. Now, first things first, we're going to go over the 3 phases of the Ultimate Reset. So again, the Ultimate Reset is 21 days, so each phase is a week long in itself. The first phase is the reclaim phase. And during this phase, what you're basically doing is you are telling your body, I'm taking you back, and you are preparing it for proper nutrition. So you're slowly going to start to take out foods that are very harsh on your body. So you're going to start taking out things like red meat and dairy. And you still get to eat a little bit of meat. There's a day that you go ahead and get to have salmon. You can also have some chicken. But for the most part, you're starting to kind of assess the type of chemistry that's going on in your body and start to kind of level it out. In the second week, this is the release week, or better known as your detox week. And what you're going to do here is you are literally going to release the toxins from your body. So you're going to clean out your blood, you're going to clean out your cells, you're going to prepare your cells for the ability to take in nutrition in the following week. You're going to do a gentle colon cleanse. And I say gentle because it literally is gentle. Most detox and cleanse programs are very, very harsh on your body, and people are afraid of them because they're the type of things that you take a lot of bulk fiber with, and not to be improper over the internet or anything, but it's something that normally keeps you closely tied to a restroom. The Beachbody Ultimate Reset is absolutely nothing like that. Yes, it is going to restore balance to your body. Yes, if you are somebody who suffers from constipation, it's definitely going to help you get over that in a natural way, but it's not going to have you guys running to the restroom every couple of hours. It's a very natural process. It doesn't feel strange. You just feel like you need to go to the bathroom. No big deal. So that's the second phase, or week 2. The third phase is a re-energizing phase. So basically what you're doing is now you've gone ahead and you've prepped your body, you've taken out all the harsh things, you've cleansed it from any toxins. Now you're going to start putting good things back into it. So you're going to have more pre and probiotics. So you're restoring that natural flora that belongs in your digestive system. You are increasing your metabolism, both with the foods you eat and with the supplements you take. You are basically prepping your body for what's coming after the 3 weeks is over. So you are prepping your body for everything that's nasty out there in the world to take it on and take it on strong. So those are the 3 phases of the Ultimate Reset. It's very important to note that it's not just a cleanse and detox program. It really does make sure that you have the ability by the end of the 3 weeks to maximize the potential of the food that you're taking in, for your cells to maximize the way that they digest food and use that energy, and to maximize your output, both in your normal daily activities and in your exercise routines. So it's an overall mind-body experience. The other thing that the reset really helps you do, guys, is discover your kind of relationship with food. So it helps you decide, what type of eater am I? Am I an emotional eater? Am I the type of eater who only eats when I'm bored? Am I somebody who is a picky eater, or do I eat at the TV? How do you eat your food? It also helps you get in touch with your feelings. I know going into this, I had a lot of really stressing things going on in my life. And while I know that they're not gone, it's been much easier to deal with it because I haven't been obsessing over those things so much, and it's really kind of brought my overall nervousness and agitation down quite a bit. It makes the little things that used to seem like they were mountains big, it makes them seem manageable. So it really does do a total overhaul on your body. So those are the 3 phases. Again, in the first phase, you're going to start taking out things like dairy and red meat. In the second phase, you're totally vegetarian. And by the time you get to the 3rd week, you're on a vegan-only meal. Now, most people hear the word vegan and they get kind of intimidated, and I know that I'm definitely one of those people. Back when I was in college, I did take a couple of nutrition classes, and one of our assignments was to go totally vegan for 2 weeks. And I don't know if it's because I didn't know what I was doing. I only had a couple of recipes that I went ahead and researched on the internet, but it seemed like my grocery bills were through the roof, and my meals were very difficult to plan, and it doesn't taste the way I wanted it to taste. And so when I heard that this 3rd week was going to be a vegan week, I was very intimidated and not very excited about it. By the time I got there, guys, I had discovered new foods that back in college I didn't know existed. So things that were very good and they worked within the vegan rules, but they were much more tasty. I also discovered how by then to make meals quickly. So 30-minute meals. This is not a Rachel Ray segment, but that's basically what it is, guys. You take your supplements and 30 minutes later you're supposed to eat. So I would take my supplements as I was starting to cook. By the time my meal was done, I was ready to eat. 30-minute meals, guys. It did not take much effort. The other thing that I mentioned a lot in my videos is that your dinner from the night before oftentimes becomes your lunch for the next day. So that's something that made meal preparation extremely easy because during the middle of the day, I didn't have to do anything except for make my salad. I normally had a salad and then something else, and that something else was usually from the dinner the night before. By the time you get into the second and the third weeks, most of your breakfast consists of fruit. So it's not that hard, even if you want to prep the night before, to get a couple of things that you want to make, throw together a fruit salad, put it in the fridge, and grab it. Or, like me, on some days I was on my way out to work, kind of on a last minute deal. I got called in on an emergency to go ahead and cover some summer school courses. And so, for me, I didn't have time to throw together a fruit salad. But I did have time to grab a banana and an apple and a pear and a couple berries and throw them in a bag and eat it over there. It's the same thing as a fruit salad. It may not be cut up, but it's exactly what I had to do. And it worked well for me. The other thing that this really did for me is I think it really strengthened my relationship with my boyfriend in the kitchen. I'm not proud to say this, but I am not the cook in my house. He's definitely the cook. And again, I'm not proud to say this, but that's part of the reason why 2 years ago I found myself needing to get back on a fitness journey, because I had put on so much weight. You let a man in the kitchen, he'll cook whatever he wants, and you let him serve you, and your portion sizes are going to get substantially bigger. So this was me taking back control of that and taking back control of what I was able to eat. Now, yes, we did have two separate grocery bills because he was eating what he wanted and I was eating what was required for the reset. But it wasn't difficult at all. A lot of the vegetables that I was eating were things that he could eat. The only difference is that he added a meat into his meal. So, we were able to share a lot of the meals still. And again, it got us both working in the kitchen together and made it kind of a family experience to go ahead and be cooking meals once again versus the two of us being in two different places, vegging out in front of the TV and, eating in front of the TV. A much more whole body experience and again, emotional with your relationship. The other thing that I kind of have to brag on is that by the time I was in the third week, I had kind of piqued his interest with eating well. They say that it takes 21 days to create a habit. I can honestly say that about day 15, 16, already had that habit down. I knew I had to wake up. I knew I had to eat. I knew I had to get my meals ready. And that habit was formed before those 21 days are there. I didn't really start looking at my menus anymore because I had a general idea of what I was going to eat for the day. And I was okay with what I had to eat for the day. I knew it wasn't going to be difficult to prep meals, so I didn't feel like I had to overly plan anything. And it really piqued his interest, and he said, you know what, I'm going to give some of this a try. Now, is he doing the reset? No, because we didn't have anything for him to go ahead and do, but he did go ahead and take out my insanity box and start working out again and start following the meal plan. So again, if you are somebody that is getting ready to go ahead and jump into an intense fitness routine or a new nutrition program, this is really an excellent thing, not just for you, but for your family, because you start eating well, your family will follow suit, and it makes following a guided meal plan much easier because once you've done it for 21 days, following something like the insanity meal plan where you get to have, quite frankly, very gourmet meals is totally easy. So that's basically the recap of the ultimate reset. The next thing that I want to talk about are some frequently asked questions that both are addressed in the reset manual and were also asked, honestly, quite a bit by viewers like you, friends that I talked to outside of YouTube, some of my students in my classes, and some of my family members. What were my results? Now, this is a social media, and so I know it's always a little bit scary for anybody out there to go ahead and put your fitness stats out there, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. When I started this program, actually, let's back up a little bit more. When I started my fitness journey 2 years ago, when I decided I needed to make a change, I was 157 pounds. Before meeting my boyfriend, I was 113 pounds. So that gives you a good idea of just how much weight I put on. So 157 pounds. Through the use of various programs like Insanity and Turbo Fire, Brazil Butt Lift, P90X, Asylum, I've gone ahead and I've managed to get myself down into the 130, 133, 136-ish range. And I kind of bounce back and forth between there. But for the last year, I've been stuck there. And though I eat well and I'm happy I'm not gaining weight and I'm definitely gaining muscle mass, I wasn't able to kind of get over that hump. Now, when I first started this program, I weighed myself in the morning on day 1 and I was 131 pounds. When I weighed myself at the very next day after the program was over, so it would be day 22, I was 124 pounds. So I lost exactly 7 pounds. For somebody my frame, that's a lot of weight to lose in 21 days. That's a huge change just based off of nutrition. It had nothing to do with the fitness programs. It was purely nutrition based. Guys, 80% of fitness is what you eat. It's not what you do. So keep that in mind. Now, I could go down and I can give you my stats individually of what my measurements were. I don't really want to do that just for time's sake because this is already going to be a long enough video. But I can tell you that I lost a total of 8.5 inches all around my body. Well, it's because you lost a lot of water weight. That's all it is. Are you kidding me, guys? I drink over a gallon of water every single day on this program. I originally bought 10 gallons of water thinking, oh yeah, 10 gallons of water, that'll take me through 21 days. No way. Just via drinking the supplements, the amount that you have to drink for each of the 4 doses, I drink about a half gallon. And in between there, I pretty much only allowed myself water. I did make an exception, and I'll get into that into just a second, but I pretty much just drank water. And I drank anywhere between a gallon and a gallon and a quarter every single day. So it had nothing to do with a loss of water weight because I was taking in so much water just to keep my body rehydrated. It literally is toxins and fat, guys, because it helped mobilize some of that fat. So those were kind of my results. A total of 7 pounds lost, 8.5 inches in 21 days. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on to some questions that people have been asking me. So what were my results? I just went ahead and saw that. What were some of the biggest changes that I saw in myself? If you were watching my videos, you know that I suffer from a lot of nerve pain shooting up through this hand and these 2 fingers. I had an accident when I was younger and I fractured my wrist and there was some nerve damage. And it kind of comes and goes, but in the last 2-3 months, I have been suffering from the worst pain throughout that hand. Total numbness. I hadn't been able to move it. It just hurt, guys. The other thing that I suffer a lot from are migraines. I have very frequent migraines, 1, sometimes 2 a day. So I take a lot of ibuprofen. I know I'm wreaking havoc on my liver and on my kidneys just trying to excrete those. But I take a lot of ibuprofen just for migraine pain. So those are the 2 biggest changes. On the very first day, I no longer had that nerve pain. That's not a lie. That's absolutely true. I am now 3 days post reset because it took me a while to go ahead and get this video up. I still haven't had any nerve pain in that hand. I pop my knuckles a lot, mostly because of that pain, and it just kind of helps to relieve some of it. I haven't popped my knuckles in 25 days. Think about that, guys. I haven't had a migraine in the same amount of time. On the very first day, I didn't have a migraine. And I should probably mention that a lot of people mention that they do get a headache when they take oxygenized the first time. It's basically liquid oxygen. I didn't experience that, and I don't know if it's because I live at a higher elevation and I might be used to that type of variance in oxygen levels, but I didn't experience it. And as far as my normal migraines go, haven't had a single one since. I'm kind of an insomniac. I don't really sleep very well. When I started this program, when I fall asleep, I'm out. And when I wake up easy. I am not hitting my snooze button 2-3 times. I wake up and I wake up before my alarm clock. I normally, the last 3-4 days, have been able to get to my alarm clock and turn it off before it even goes off. And I'm wide awake. I'm up. I'm ready for the day. I'm moving. I'm going. I sleep wonderfully. When I wake up, I have energy. I have energy that is sustained throughout the entire day. And I teach fitness classes 4 days a week. I was able to go through my whole day waking up earlier, much earlier than I normally do, an hour to 2 hours earlier. Go through my whole day, do everything I need to do, teach summer school. Kids drain you guys, but I taught summer school and then I'd come home, take care of some errands, go teach a fitness class, have energy to go crazy high impact with that fitness class, come home, make my dinner, and still had energy at the end of the day. Then I was able to go to sleep and sleep like nobody's business. It's been the most amazing feeling so far, guys. The question a lot of people have asked me was what was the hardest thing to change? Um, Getting used to eating on a schedule was very difficult for me. The first couple of days were hard because I was constantly looking at the clock. Has it been 2 hours yet? Should I eat yet? So that kind of was hard for me the first maybe week or so. But after that, it kind of really became second nature. 2 hours, 3 hours went by, and then I felt hungry, and so I knew it was ready to go ahead and eat the next meal. When I originally started this program, I said I was probably going to have to do the afternoon snack. They allow you an afternoon snack if you need it. I thought I was going to have to do that because of the fitness classes I take. I did it on the first day and I never had to do it again. I had more than enough energy to go ahead and sustain myself throughout the rest of the day. So there wasn't really a lot that I found difficult to change other than the eating schedule. The other thing, of course, is the areas of the store that I was shopping in. I normally tend to buy a lot of shelf-proof foods, if you know what I mean. So not necessarily prepackaged, but dried things, canned things, frozen things, just because I buy in bulk and then I go. A little bit different because I was buying a lot of fresh foods, a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit, and so that was different for me. I didn't buy any frozen vegetables. I did everything fresh, so that was different to me. But of course, the nutrition content was so much higher. It was also difficult for me to get used to the concept of shopping in the soy-ish aisles. Tempeh, I had no idea what tempeh was. I had to really look for that. I finally found it at a sunflower market, a natural food market here in town. But that was kind of hard to find. I also was not a huge fan of sushi going into this, and so I was really nervous because there's a lot of meals that call for not necessarily sushi, although I did make it one night, but a lot of meals called for seaweed being ground up in different things or put on salads, and that's really the part of the sushi I don't enjoy. So I was really nervous about that, and I really wanted to stick to the meal plan as closely as possible to allow myself the opportunity to taste new things. But you know what, guys? I found out that I really like sushi. It just needs to be made right. So the recipe that came in the book made it very enjoyable. So then I was excited to try the next recipe that had the seaweed, and that was really enjoyable. And now I bought a package of seaweed just because, and that was after the cleanse ended. So that gives you kind of an idea. The most challenging thing was just trying to get used to something new. End of story. There wasn't much else that was difficult about this program at all. The next question I got was, how expensive is it really on groceries? Again, I mentioned earlier that that one vegan week that I had to do for school cost me nearly twice as much as it costs us for groceries for two. But that's because I didn't know what I was buying. So now that, if you're somebody who has a lot of the main spices in your cabinet, has some of the vinegars in your cabinet, that's the most expensive thing that you have to buy, the things that are going to sustain you for the whole 3 weeks and beyond. So my first grocery bill was a little bit less than $80 because there were a couple things that I needed to go ahead and stock my cabinet with to hold me over. But since then, guys, let me tell you that my grocery bill for an entire week's worth of fresh food was $25. I'm not kidding you. I never spent more than $25 when I went to the grocery store, and I only went once a week. The next question I had is about the difficulty of cooking the meals. A lot of people have said, oh, this must take a lot of prep time. It must take a lot of effort. No, guys, I just told you earlier, the meals take about 30 minutes to go ahead and make, and they're not hard to make unless you find chopping up vegetables difficult. It was very, very easy. I tend to use the food processor a lot. I didn't during this just because I wanted to kind of connect with my meals, and it still wasn't hard at all. You know, get a good knife, chop up your vegetables, and it's really easy. There are a couple meals that take, 45 minutes or so to go ahead and cook. And so it's not a bad idea for you to go ahead and review your meals for the day the night before. That way you know if there's going to be a meal that takes a little bit longer, so you plan accordingly. But for the most part, guys, 30 minutes or less. Super easy, not difficult to prep. It's mostly baking, so set your oven, preheat it, stick it in the oven, come back when it beeps at you. Or it's steaming, so I think everyone can figure out how to steam vegetables, very easy. Or it's making a soup, so you chop everything up, blend it up, stick it in a pot, cook it till it's warm. There you go. It's very, very easy. The question I got was, how difficult is it for you to take your meals with you if you're doing something? Again, if you watched my videos, you know that into the first week of the program, we actually went to meet friends for lunch on more than one occasion. And all I did was I stuck my meal in a little carry-all packet and I took it with me. People at restaurants don't care, guys. They really don't. If you want to take something for yourself, it's not weird in this day and age where people, request very specialized meal plans for themselves. So take your food. It's not hard. You might feel a little funny, but that's you. That's your own self-consciousness. People aren't looking at you weird. The waiters aren't looking at you weird. It was very easy to prep. Also, if you're up front with your friends and family ahead of time, hey, I'm doing this, and so don't worry about preparing something for me. I'm going to go ahead and bring it on my own. They're usually very understanding, at least in my experience they were. So when we went to go ahead and have meals with friends and family, it was very, very easy, not difficult at all. How do the meals taste? I think they were very, very tasty. There wasn't more than one meal maybe that I didn't enjoy, and I don't want to say that I didn't enjoy any meals. There were just some meals that for me didn't have enough flavor, but they were still very good. A lot of the meals are things that I'm going to be eating for a long time. In fact, like I said, I'm a couple days post reset at this point, and I've actually did try to eat chicken one day, and it tasted heavy. I don't know how else to express it to you other than heavy. It was good tasting, but it tasted heavy and it just didn't sit right with me. Today I ate not anything big like that, but something a little bit different, maybe that I might have eaten before, and it really upset my stomach. So the meals are so good that they're things that I know I'm going to be sticking with, especially now that I know that it's good for me. I know that it's easy to make, it's quick to make, and I know that it really agrees with my body. So the meals taste very good. The other question I get a lot is, does it really satisfy you? Well, I'm going to tell you that I kept telling you in my videos, they tell you to make a specific amount, and that's supposed to be your serving for that meal. I stuck to those serving sizes, and I had difficulty even getting through that serving size by the time the fourth, maybe fifth day rolled around. So yes, they're extremely filling. Yes, they satisfy you long enough for you to get to the next meal. And your body knows when it's supposed to eat next, so it'll start feeling hungry when you're ready. Are there any side effects? I didn't experience any. The biggest side effect that I had was that in my third week, I seemed to be cold quite a bit, and it was only during that third week. But other than that, I didn't have any big side effects. Something that they do mention is that you may or may not have kind of a skin reaction where you break out during that detox phase. I did go ahead and break out just a little bit. It was one day and it was gone by the next day. A much less exciting breakout, if you would, than I experience on a normal monthly basis. Speaking of monthly bases, there is a question that is specifically addressed for women in the Reset book, and it lets you know that you may or may not experience a delay in your menstrual cycle just because of all of the changes. And that can happen, you can ask your OB, that can happen anytime that you change a fitness or nutrition routine. So just a heads up on that, ladies. It did go ahead and delay me by about a week. So just know that that is a side effect that may happen. But you know, for myself, it actually reduced a lot of the symptoms leading up to that. You know, I wasn't as bloated. I didn't feel crampy. I wasn't hurting anywhere. So, you know, just be aware that you may have some side effects, such as being a little bit later in your cycle. But the trade-off is that some of the symptoms might disappear. Was it difficult sticking to the meals? No, it wasn't difficult sticking to the meals at all. Again, I really tried to stick to the menu as much as possible to experience as many new foods as I wanted. But if there are foods on there that you think you're totally not going to like, you are allowed to substitute foods. So if you don't like week 1 meal 5 for dinner, you can use another dinner meal from week 1. As long as you substitute for another meal within that same week, you're able to go ahead and do that. So you can pick the ones that you know you like. And that's also another way that you can help cut down on your grocery bills, because rather than buying for all these different meals, you can buy just for the 2, 3, 4 meals that you're going to enjoy the most. You know, and kind of supplement that. Now, you can't supplement a lunch for a dinner, or, you know, a dinner for breakfast or something. It's a dinner for a dinner, a lunch for a lunch, a breakfast for a breakfast. But you are able to supplement those out. The other question is about Shakeology. So those of you who use Shakeology know what I'm talking about. You cannot use the regular chocolate or greenberry Shakeology because they're built with whey protein, which is an animal byproduct. You have to use the tropical vegan Shakeology or the new chocolate vegan Shakeology to go ahead and supplement into this if you want to go ahead and use it. Now, there are rules about using Shakeology in the Ultimate Reset. You are allowed to supplement only one meal a day with it, and it's either a breakfast or a snack, not both. So if you want to have a shake for breakfast, in the first week you're allowed a full scoop, and the second and third weeks you're only allowed a half a scoop, and the same holds true for the snacks. And you don't have to just drink the Shakeology with the distilled water if you don't prefer it that way. There are some recipes that are allowed. I think I had 5, maybe 6 recipes that Isabel Deichler, the nutritionist, if you would, for Beachbody and co-creator of Shakeology and the Ultimate Reset. There's about 5 or 6 recipes that she has gone ahead and approved, different fruit recipes. So if you're interested in how you can supplement your Shakeology into this program, please make sure that you send me an email, and I would be more than happy to go ahead and email over those recipes to you, just so you don't have to look through all the message blogs to see if you can find it. I'm a caffeine addict, and how do you get rid of your coffee for 3 weeks? No, I really am a caffeine addict, guys. I really do drink 2, maybe 3 cups of coffee a day. Coffee is horrible for you. It is extremely acidic. It wreaks havoc on your body. Side note, just so you know, for every cup of coffee you drink, you should be drinking 2 glasses of water. That's a lot of water just to try to flush out that junk that you're putting in your body. So no, I didn't have coffee the whole time. It allows you to drink coffee. It doesn't say you can't. It says that you shouldn't. But you are allowed coffee, preferably black, if you absolutely need it. Now, let me tell you what my secret was. I drank a lot of herbal tea, still made with the distilled water. So in the first week, I drank quite a bit of herbal tea. By the time the second week rolled around, I don't think I had any, and I know for a fact that I didn't have any tea during the third week. But that was kind of my way to wean myself off of caffeine. Again, I'm a couple days post, and I haven't had a craving for coffee yet. Today I went ahead and had a tea luncheon with my aunt and my sister, and so we did have a bunch of tea today, but it wasn't necessarily something that I was craving the caffeine. I enjoyed it. It used to be that if I had a cup of caffeine, coffee or tea or otherwise, earlier in the day, I kind of was drinking it throughout the day, especially teas. I had tea at the luncheon that we had at the tea house, but I haven't had any since I've got home. So it definitely, the program has definitely helped to curb my need for caffeine. One of the other questions that's addressed in the Reset book is whether or not you should continue taking prescribed medications during this program. The answer is yes, you absolutely should. And going into this program, I had just been diagnosed with a double ear infection. And so I had 10 days worth of antibiotics that I needed to take. So please do not stop your prescription medications, guys. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what to tell you. If you are on something serious, maybe you need to go ahead and print out some information about the Reset and take it to your doctor and see if it's something you can do. Don't do anything that's going to go against a very highly prescribed medication routine without consulting your doctor, please. Last question. Is this something I would do again? Absolutely. In fact, it is something that I'm planning on doing once a year from here on out until I can possibly think of ever doing it. If I was able to make this big of a change in my body over the last 26 years of my life in just 3 weeks, can you imagine what's going to happen next year when I reset my body and I'm only having to clear out a year's worth of junk? Earlier, I mentioned that it's probably better to try the reset during one of the hardest times in your life. So, during the holidays, during the summer, when you're going to be doing a lot of things. And I know that might be going against the grain, but the reason I say that is because it gives you the opportunity to do something hard during a hard time, so you get used to doing it. That way, when it's easy, you're having an easy time, maybe you're not traveling so much, or you're not tempted by all these goodies at Thanksgiving or Christmas. When it's easier, you know that you're going to make the right choices. Now, if you want to do it during an easy time, please do. But I found it very, very fun to do during the month of June, because that's normally when we're at the pool. We're having a little cocktail with our friend. We have some finger foods where we pick a lot, barbecue, all these things. So I picked what for me is the most difficult time of the year to be good. And I really taught myself to follow proper nutrition guidelines during difficult times. And so now I know that I'm going to be able to stick through it very, very easily. So that's what I suggest. Next year, I'll probably do it in May, just that way I'm ready to go and I'm not necessarily inconveniencing myself so much during the summer. But, it's something that I'm definitely going to do again and again and again. In fact, there's a couple of the supplements, including the Alkalize, that I think I might go ahead and just start incorporating into my daily activities, just because it's good for you, although I haven't made a final decision on that. But yes, I would definitely do this again, and I am planning on doing so in May of 2013. So that's all for tonight, guys, and I apologize. I realize that it was a very long video, but I really wanted to give you a good recap of what the program is, give you a good Q&A session based on questions that people were asking me, and then of course share my results because I'm very excited. I hope that you have gone ahead and liked me on Facebook at this point, because there are going to be a lot of other information helpful for nutrition, health, and overall wellness that I put up every single day on that like page. So if you are interested in having somebody to kind of help you reach your health and fitness goals, please, guys, do not be afraid to reach out to me. I really am a normal person. I really have been there. I have not always been skinny. I had to fight my body to get back into good shape. And I am more than happy to go ahead and help you. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to help you. Please connect with me on Facebook. That's my preferred method, just because it's a very social media. I have it on my phone. I can talk to you. I normally get back to you much quicker. I also run some challenge groups, both for fitness and for nutrition. And I'm also going to be having, or actually I have opened a reset support group. So if this is something that you're interested in, you can go ahead and get in on that group. Again, Facebook is my preferred method of communication. However, if you are not on Facebook or not interested in getting on Facebook, feel free to go ahead and send me a personal message, and that email address is listed below. You can also go ahead and visit my website at showtimefitnessnm.com, and if you are in the New Mexico area, you can also take a look at when I am teaching classes if you're interested to go ahead and take some of my classes, or just go ahead and follow my blog. It's pretty much the same information. I have them linked between that and Facebook, so pretty much what you see go up on my website will go up on Facebook. But there are a few things on there that I will not be putting on Facebook. So, it's not a bad idea to check out that website as well. So thank you so much for your patience, guys. Thank you for sticking through the whole video. And thank you for sticking through my whole blog. That's 22 days worth of videos that you guys watched. And that in itself is a habit to be proud of. Now let's go ahead and choose one that is better for your health than sitting in front of your computer. Contact me about the reset. Everyone have a good night.